forgot to take the time while we went on a break, so I was not sure if it's already been 20 minutes or not. But if you're back, then okay. No worries. Let's begin. Now, in the first one, we talked about the vision as to where do we want to be in future, where do we see ourselves in a future state is what we essentially discussed or as we talk about. The second step here, or the fourth chapter here, is about where are we now, doing the baseline assessments in order to understand the current performance levels of the organization. So let's see. By the end of this topic, we would be able to explain the environmental analysis in the terms of external analysis, which is the pestle factors, and internal analysis, which are the 4 dimensions of service management, and know how to use the digital readiness assessment to perform gap analysis between an organization's current and desired positions. So that's what the purpose here is. We are going to identify the current state. Next step, we are going to identify the future state. And then we look at the gaps based on which we create plans to fill those gaps or bridge those gaps so that we can achieve our future state. This particular module relates to the second step of continual improvement model. Where are we now? It focuses on the context of strategy. Strategy articulates past, current, and future relationship between the organization and its environment. Well, of course, what are the past, current, and future relationships between an organization and its environment is what we identify based on strategy. This module focuses on the environmental analysis on the basis of 3 main areas: the external environment, the internal environment, the organization itself, and the interaction between the organization and its external environment. Now, of course, we have been talking about these factors that can affect the organization. Could be the external factors, could be the internal factors. But what factors could be there in terms of the pestle factors? So any sort of political, economical, social, technological, legal, or environmental factors that can have an impact, or the organization itself, the 4 dimensions of the service management, which is more related to the organization and people, information and technology, partners and suppliers, and value streams and processes. And how do they interact? So few topics here: environmental analysis, opportunity analysis, and the digital readiness assessment. First one, environmental analysis. Well, environmental analysis encompasses the 3 main areas: the external environment, which is the organization's environment, often referred to as external environment. These are the external conditions that could affect the organization. Now, we have to understand that as an organization, we exist in an ecosystem, right? So there can be multiple different factors. For example, if my organization is located in India, so they may just have to follow different rules and regulations. If my organization is located in Dubai or UAE, then again, there would be different rules and regulations that could be there. There could be different cultures of the organization, the way how people work within the organization. So multiple external factors could always be there that we need to look at. Similarly, the internal environment, which is the organization itself, often referred to as an organization's internal environment. Well, of course, the 4 dimensions that we have here: the organization and people, information and technology, partners and suppliers, and value streams and processes, and the interaction between the organization and its external environment. They say these 3 areas are increasingly complex, so the waves of technological innovation continue to disrupt. To understand the 3 areas, Itil combines the pestle approach to analyze the external environment with the 4 dimensions of service management to analyze the organization itself. Well, of course, we combine both the pestle approach with the 4 dimensions in order to identify how the interaction works. External analysis. External factors influencing an organization. They said there are several approaches to analyzing external environment. Pestle is helpful in categorizing these factors influencing or constraining how an organization operates. Like we know, Pestle stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors. These are the factors which are external to the organization and can always have an impact on the organization's goals and objectives or achievement of the vision. For external analysis and strategy, they say using external analysis, strategy asks questions such as what needs exist in our environment, how important are those needs to people and other organizations, how could those needs be fulfilled, what kind of services and products would meet that need, how do those needs change over time, how frequently do they change, are other organizations meeting those needs, and if so, are they doing so adequately, and what are the limitations of our environment? Is there anything that we are prevented from doing? Like I said, that there can always be certain laws, certain regulatory requirements that can prevent an organization from doing something. Multiple tools are available for the external analysis. Yes, some of the tools available for external environmental analysis are shown here. This is not an exhaustive list, but it illustrates that each tool has its own approach, assumptions, and use. Well, again, tool-specific questions would not be there in the exam. These are just some tools that are being shown as a reference. There can be more tools as well that can be used for identifying or doing the external analysis. So these factors here, pestle factors, SWOT analysis, Delphi method, or estimate talk or estimate, life cycle analysis, scenario planning, value ecosystem analysis or business ecosystem analysis, Porter's five forces, directional policy matrix, competitors analysis. All these, again, like I said, are tools that can be used to analyze the external factors that can always have an impact on the organization. Then similarly, we have the internal analysis as well. Like we said, the four dimensions is what we have to always consider. Whether the organization, strategy uses internal analysis to determine whether the organization has the capabilities required to achieve its purpose in the environment that it operates in. So do we have those required set of capabilities? Whether the current capabilities could be used to create a new lines of business, products, or services. Then whether it might be possible to make the organization more effective or efficient in meeting its purpose. Right. So of course, we need to look at the internal factors as well. We need to perform an internal analysis as well so that we can be successful. The four dimensions of digital strategy or influence of the four dimensions on the digital strategy is what we are looking at here. These are the same four dimensions that we must have seen in the foundation level as well. ITIL, yeah, go ahead. You were saying that's correct. ITIL describes the internal environment as the four dimensions of service management, organization, and people, wherein we look at the organization's structure and systems of authority and organizational culture. Culture is one of the most important things when it comes to internal factors. Now, consider an example. Let's say we are bringing in digital transformation in the organization. We are going to use up-to-date technology in the organization for delivering our products and services. Now, the culture of the organization is such that people are comfortable using their legacy systems. They are afraid of changes. They're resistant towards the changes. So implementing the transformation strategy in the organization may just go unsuccessful because of the behavior of the people, because of the people aspect, because of the attitude, the belief system of the individuals within the organization. And that is something that we would never want, because transformation, of course, comes along with a cost, higher cost, of course, higher effort in terms of implementing things, learning new things. So people in the organization should always be able to welcome changes, embrace changes. For information and technology, systems, information, knowledge, and experience required to make good decisions and follow them. Well, of course, what kind of systems, what kind of information, knowledge, and experience is required to take good decisions? Those that supply goods or services that enable an organization to create value and to build, sell, and deliver the products and services. Well, of course, any partners and suppliers. See, there is no self-sufficient organization in this world. It's very rare that you would see an organization to be self-sufficient. There are always partners and suppliers which are required. Uh, Now, when I'm saying they are required, I'm not saying it's always the strategic partners and suppliers that we may need, even the operational suppliers, even the commodity suppliers. Every organization is somewhere dependent upon these partners and suppliers. So we need to look at those partners and suppliers as well, which can help us to create value and build, sell, and deliver the products and services. And then value streams and processes. Effective value streams and processes is what we are definitely looking at. What activities, workflows, controls, and procedures are needed to achieve the organization's objective is what we follow. Similar to the external ones, there are internal tools for internal analysis as well. Again, they say that some of the tools are available for internal environment analysis are depicted in the picture. This is not an exhaustive list, but it shows that each tool has its own approach, assumptions, and uses. So SWOT analysis, Delphi method, lifecycle analysis, scenario planning, value ecosystem analysis or business ecosystem analysis, skill matrix for internal skills to see which skills are already available within the organization, capability maturity matrix, cultural assessments is what we may go ahead and do. And then, of course, there is an interaction between the organization and its environment. You say each action changes the relationship between the organization and its environment. And strategy continuously evaluates how the needs being met by the organization are changing, who is competing to meet those needs, whether there are new, better ways of meeting them, whether the size of existing needs is changing, increasing, or decreasing, new needs are emerging, whether the organization's services and products are still adequate to meet the needs in the environment, and if not, how they will need to change, whether new capabilities have evolved that will change the organization's business model. Then using the result of environmental analysis, when we go ahead and analyze both the internal and the external environment, what results do we get and how do we use them? Environmental analysis helps the organization to identify and articulate the purpose of the organization, the nature of its interaction with its environment, the products and services it offers, and the needs that each one fulfills, the size of the needs it will fulfill, the constraints imposed by its environment, the capabilities it will need, how it will organize itself to fulfill its purpose, for example, the business model, and who it will need to cooperate with. So we can always get answers to such questions, or we can always document such information based on the internal and external environmental analysis. Then there is opportunity analysis. So opportunity analysis and the strategy. Opportunity analysis will identify which opportunities are viable and support the organization's strategy. Now, of course, in a market, there can be lots of opportunities that are available. Which one would be the best suited for the organization and the strategy is what we have to look at. Strategy management includes evaluating each opportunity to determine the following: whether it is consistent with the organization's strategic objectives, the level of demand for the product or the services that the opportunity represents, how a competitor how competitors are likely to pursue the opportunity, and how well the organization is positioned against them, and for how long the opportunity is likely to exist. So when it comes to opportunities, like I said, that it's not that all the opportunities should be undertaken by the organization, but we need to identify which opportunity is in these alignment with the organization strategy, and how other competitors are expected to pursue that opportunity. That is based on that, we can always take the decisions. So opportunity analysis would again further identify which opportunities are viable, the impact of pursuing the opportunity. For example, the investment changes the organization will need to make, and a potential return on investment. This one is discussed in chapter number 5 in more detail. The impact of not pursuing the opportunity, for instance, loss of revenue, reduced competitive advantage, comparison to other opportunities, risks associated with the opportunity, and governing body's appetite for risk. Again, this is something that is discussed in the last chapter. That is where we discuss risk in more detail. The legal and the ethical aspects involved, and the organization's ability to make the required cultural changes. Well, of course, if we can make the culture changes as well. Now, cultural changes is something that cannot be achieved or implemented within a day or within a week or within a month. It takes time for an organization to build a culture. So slowly and gradually taking small steps towards building the culture is what we have to look at. Some tools for opportunity analysis, like for the other ones, Luhrmann's portfolio of real options, option space analysis, market spaces, the market in which we are going to operate, strategic industry factors. So strategically, it can be always important for a particular industry to implement such certain changes, and investment prioritization. Now, like we said, that there can be multiple opportunities that may be identified by the organization. So against a set criteria, we need to prioritize all the investments and then take the higher priority ones first. Then there is digital readiness assessment. So let's see. Need for digital readiness assessment. An effective digital readiness assessment can help the organization to prepare for digitalization and provide a starting point for defining the digital strategy. Well, of course, how as an organization are we ready? How much are we ready to move ahead with digitalization is what we have to identify. So this can always become a starting point or a trigger point for creating the digital strategy. It builds an understanding of what it takes to prepare for digitalization, like funding, culture, organizational structure, capabilities, and the roles and skills. Certain key activities for digital readiness assessment: evaluating the current organizational capabilities. Well, of course, understanding what can we deliver currently. Gap analysis against the future. We see what are the gaps, what gaps do we need to fill, what output are we looking at, and the risk and challenges of digital readiness assessment. Well, of course, what sort of risks, what sort of challenges we may face when it comes to digital readiness assessment. Evaluating the current organizational capabilities, which is again, digital readiness assessment can be done within an organization or by experienced external providers. So there can always be certain consultants that can work with us in order to do the readiness assessment of or within the organization. The digital readiness assessment looks at how an organization are performing in 6 key areas. One, the strategy and the digital positioning. Second, value streams, practices, and processes. Third, information and technology. Fourth, organizational development and learning. Fifth, risk management, and sixth, innovation. So against these capabilities, organizations are evaluated. They see how ready we are in terms of beginning the digital transformation. Gap analysis finds the organization's strengths and weaknesses and can result in actionable, practical steps for it to implement in the short, medium, and long term. Identifies the gap analysis, identifies the gap between the current and the current situation and the desired future state, like we've been talking about, understanding the current position, identifying the desired state, and then looking for gaps, and identifies practical actions to close the gaps over time. What do we usually find in a gap analysis report? The organization's objectives, description of the current situation related to each objective, description of what is needed to achieve the future state, and actions required to close the gap between the current and the future state. Well, of course, this is something that we get as a part of a gap analysis report, and that's what the basic purpose of doing the gap analysis is. Then digital readiness assessment typically contain information about the cultural readiness, openness to change, innovative culture, and so on. Skills assessment for implementing and using digital technology. Level of innovation, open or openness to innovation. Well, of course, that is something that we need to identify. How open are we towards innovating new ways of working? Current levels of automation. What is currently automated within the organization? Extent to which the value streams have been defined and are ready to be automated. Nature of products and services provided, to what extent is it possible to move them into the digital operating model? So existing products and services, and if we can move them to the digital operating model or not. Customer personas and profiles, what type of customers are we serving? What are their requirements? Leadership style, well, of course, adapting the leadership style according to the situation. And the controls and governance. So after the digital readiness assessment is completed, this is all the information that we may look at. Risks and challenges of digital readiness assessment. It's according to the paper, Developing Maturity Models for IT Management by Becker et al. Some of the main issues when conducting the digital readiness assessment are many assessments are overcomplicated. Many assessments are too simple. Few assessments account for risk. Few assessment account for comprehensive practices that we should work with. An assessment of strategy and leadership is not appropriately addressed. Now, what could make assessments overcomplicated? A lot of data which is not structured, hundreds of documents that are being created when it comes to assessment. That would make it more complicated. What would be too simple? Broadly framed, not appropriate detail is what we're getting. What sort of risks that we see? So again, when it comes to digital transformation, there are certain inherent risk when they are there. So if they are not accounting for those risks, then again, it can become a challenge. Comprehensive practices should be defined, should be followed in terms of making making the assessment successful, and of course, moving towards the vision. And strategy and leadership should always be appropriately addressed, because without their commitment, we would not be able to move even a step forward. And that was the smaller chapter, wherein we talked about the environmental analysis. Of course, environmental analysis encompasses three main areas: external, internal, and the interaction between the organization and its external. To understand the three areas, ITIL combines PESTEL approach to analyze external environment with the four dimensions of service management to analyze the organization itself. PESTEL is helpful in categorizing factors influencing or constraining how an organization operates. The four dimensions describe organizations' resources and how they interact with each other and with the external environment to meet its objectives. All four dimensions are critical for defining and implementing the strategy. For the readiness assessment, the analysis of all the aspects of organization's environment, internal and external, how likely it is to change together with an assessment of the organization's current position, capabilities, sorry, and resources will provide a baseline for the next stage of the strategy, how to achieve the vision. And of course, a gap analysis finds the organization's strengths and weaknesses and can result in actionable practical steps for it to implement in the short, medium, or the longer terms. Hey, let's see few questions. What is the correct description of a key performance indicator? Okay, that's a generic question. Well, of course, an important metric that is used to evaluate the success in meeting an objective. Okay. Looking at the planning and evaluation model, what is the right order, top down? Okay. Consider again this one as a generic question. Identify what would be defined first, then next, then next, and then next. Okay. Well, rightly said. So first we are defining the purpose, then objectives, then indicators, and then matrix. Okay, which opportunity analysis tool can be used to evaluate and compare multiple opportunities using a similar rating system, even if the opportunities are different in nature? Okay, okay. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have 5 different projects that you have an option for that you can run. Now I have given you a standard rating system and I ask you that which project would you do first? My question is, or my scenario is that you have 5 different projects that you can execute. The 5 different options for the projects that you can execute. What do we need to do? We need to select one project to be completed or executed first, right? And we have to measure all the 5 projects against a standard rating system. Which one would you select? Let's say, okay. Okay. All of them are aligned to the business strategy. Some has more contribution, some has less contribution. Out of 5 different options, we need to prioritize that investment, right? As to which one contributes most to the achievement of the organizational objectives. Select that one because there is a standard rating system for all the 5 projects. So we need to, got my point? So this one is investment prioritization. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's correct. And then we have number well, of course, you need to download that kind of an information, digest it, understand it. Based on that, work on the assignment if you get time, if you get chance. So I'll put that assignment in chat right here. Give me a moment. Just give me 1 second. Looks like it's right there in the chat. So there are two files. One is the PDF, one is the Word document. PDF is the case study, wherein you would find information about all the three companies that are there. So you need to first read through the case study, and then in the Word document, you need to answer the questions which are written, right? So answer the questions in a little descriptive way, uh, so that we can make sense of it. Don't just put in 1 words or 2 words as an answer. A little more descriptive is what I'm expecting. And that is some, yeah, go ahead. You were saying something? Oh, right. So do you want me to be here with you while you do the case study, or we can do you want to start the same time? I'm comfortable same time as well. It was just because of the conflict that I was a little confused as to when to start. So if you prefer to start the same time that we started today, I'm okay with it. If you want to start half an hour before, I'm okay with it. 1 p.m. my I am in India. Yes, but I believe someone, the scheduler might have just have put in 1:30 p.m. IST into my calendar. So that's where the confusion comes in. Uh, I started at 2:30 p.m. That's IST. Yeah, sure. PM. Yes. I start. Yeah. Okay. 9 a.m. would be 1:30 p.m. for me, right? Or 2:30, 1:30. Yeah. I can start at 9:30 as well. Whatever you wish. Sure. No worries. So, just in case there is a confusion related to time or anything, I'll just drop my email in chat so we can remain aligned. All right, sir. So I believe a lot of information to wrap up today for you. So, sure. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. All right. So, in that case, thank you so much for joining in today, and I'll see you tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. your time. All right, sir. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Cheers.